Hey. What's up, everybody? That was the crowd. Yeah, you guys join in, tune in. Let's get this party started. So happy to see you guys. Those of y'all who are here, please make yourselves known and let me know if you're new, where you're from, where you're hailing from. Because we are live on the only app that gives you live inside the app. We're not regulated by IG, by Twitter or X or Facebook or none of that. This is our own live recording. All right? So it's good to have you guys here. Please chime in. Let me know when you're here. Let me know when you're here. Excuse me. And when you're ready to rock and roll. Just a couple of tips as we get started. First of all, please tell your friends about our app. I hope you're inviting people to be a part, because this is a movement. These things are going great, and we're expecting great things to happen. Secondly, please post and give comments, give questions. And some of you all will notice that my background's different. Normally I'm in front of a bookcase. For the last few weeks, I have not been. That's because I have moved. We've downsized tremendously. We've gone from a very large and unnecessary home to a much more comfortable space where we don't have all that wasted space. I like being close, and so this is much better. It's a lot more fun. So that's the notice on the back. Please, as you're coming on, let me know you're here. Let me know that you're hearing me. If anyone's out there, give me a heads up, because we've had some technical difficulties in the past, but I'm not seeing any responses. There he is. Jeff, how you doing, man? Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. All right. People are coming on. I'm filibustering just a little bit until everybody gets on. All right. We may have to send out that notification again, just so everyone can chime in. Hey, Talamisha and William from Los Angeles. Awesome. I know it's 4:00 where you guys are. So thank you for coming on in the middle of your work day, or rather the end of it. But okay. Also, I have some breaking news. You guys are the first to hear this, because as our app audience, you get first dibs on stuff. And that is, we have started recording our podcast. Wendy and I will be doing a podcast. You'll be hearing so much more about it. We've just sat in the studio today, laid down a few episodes, and I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to be absolutely incredible. The communication, the topics. Now, it's going to be quite different from...
Hey, guys. I want to co-sign on that. The podcast, the conversations, we're so excited about it. It's going to be great.
Yes, it's going to be great.
Phenomenal.
People said hi. Leah says hi. I'm finally able to get on. Oh, great, Capri. Hey, yeah. So we started the filming for the podcast.
Give them a teaser. We talked about infidelity today.
Yes, today we talked about a couple things, actually. Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, we've talked about infidelity. We talked also about... Thanks, hon. We talked about some other stuff as well. So get ready for that. You're going to be hearing about it. And once it's going to be on YouTube. You're going to see clips on YouTube. I'll show you where to see the entirety of it. Now, let me tell you that is, hey, Wendy, Jeff says, hi, how you been? Now, let me tell you that is, YouTube is going to be a little different because here you have interaction. We can interact, we can talk. The podcast, as you know, is static. It's not dynamic. It's not dynamic at all. It's a static, so you watch what we've already done. This is completely raw, completely open, completely honest, and not that the podcast is not, but this is a whole different world. So please stay with us here as we also increase and give you new avenues where we can share and enjoy and just be a blessing to each other, okay?
Invite people here.
And people, yes, invite people to this platform as well as to the podcast, okay? All right, great. I love it. Okay, now if you got the notification, and you did, I think about it a couple times. We're talking about one culture, different worlds. One culture, different worlds. I wanted to share with you, first of all, that one thing that I think that we often don't recognize when we marry is that you don't just marry the person, you also marry their culture. You marry who, not only who they are, but you marry also where they came from and what they're accustomed to. And that's the big thing. You see, love is the bridge, but your culture, your terrain, your culture is the terrain that your bridge is built on. Hey, sunshine, what's up? So whether your kitchen, your kids, for your family systems, it's all part, everything we learn culture. Now, let me ask you this question. What's one thing your spouse does? Think about it as we're going on. That is purely culture and it still surprises you. I can give you one for me right now. It's my wife's culture. At the beginning, it kind of took me back a little bit, but they speak different. I'm not just talking about accents. I'm talking about, it's surprising to me, like there's some words that they say that we would consider curse words. Okay? Like the, S-H-I-T word, right? We would consider it cursing. They don't. It's not a big deal. And it still surprises me. Even some of the religious people in her family, they'll they'll throw it out there and whatever, and like in an exclamation or an expletive. And it's just not a big deal. Even so, I mean, there are a number of things that we do. But what we want to talk about here is the fact that every person walks into a marriage with an invisible suitcase. And that suitcase is packed with their family's origin, with their history, with what they've done, where they've been, where they grew up. Everybody's suitcase is packed with that. So heritage is not just about food on holidays. For instance, every Christmas, I know we're going to be hearing some parang. We're going to be hearing some soca. It's a whole different ball game. I want my brush. Give me my brush. I didn't even know what that was all about. But I found out that in Trinidad, every Christmas, they paint. What? I want to paint the living room. I want to paint the bedroom. I want to paint everything. Give me my brush. What is that? We don't do that here in America. But it's a culture. How do you deal with the cultures that still surprise you? Are there any that you know of that your spouse or your significant other does that surprises you? So here's what we want to deal with here. Basically, is that, or ask you a question, how do you deal with this? And I think the one thing that we have to clearly delineate here is that culture is not about, like I said, it's more than just holidays or how you celebrate things, but it's also conflict styles and money values and gender roles. Gender roles are a big one because there are cultural gender roles. I believe, speaking again, just for me, culturally, I think in Trinidad, and my wife can tell me if I'm right or wrong, that it's cultural for the man to be the head No questions asked. Am I right, honey?
The head of the household?
Yes.
Well, I don't know if that's a culture.
Okay, but they can't hear you because you're in a conversation. They can't hear what you're saying. But yes, but it's as far as roles and what have you, there is a culture that exists there. And the thing that I want to share with you today is that there's a difference between being different and being wrong. Being different and being wrong. And when you're dealing with culture, especially as it relates to your relationships in your marriage, you have to understand the difference. Because one thing that I've heard people say quite often, oh, you're doing it the wrong way. Oh, that's the wrong way. And that's not just American culture, we're welcoming others. There are other cultures also that look at American culture as things that are done wrong. How do you differentiate between different and wrong? Understand this. Difference is a matter of upbringing. It's a matter of experiences. It's a matter of familial influences. That's difference. Wrong has to do with a moral value, a moral standard, something that is established by which we can measure to determine if that thing is good or bad, if that thing is right or wrong. Okay? So for instance, the difference between it's almost the same as the difference between a preference and a principle. Difference between different and wrong, a preference, and a principle. And this is something I want you guys to get. I want you to understand this, especially in dealing with things that your spouse can do or things that you do that may not be accustomed to what you're used to do. Everything from your heritage is worth preserving, okay? But understand something. If it's a preference or if it's a principle, that makes a difference. Here's the difference. Principles are unchangeable. Principles are things that we build our values foundation on. Those are principles. These are the things that by which we live our lives. And for instance, a principle that I live by is family. Family is a value. Family protection, family support. That's a principle for me. It's how I grew up, okay? Our family was always supporting one another. We weren't always the closest in the world, but we always supported one another. You couldn't mess with us. All right, you don't mess with us. We might mess with each other, but you don't mess with us. Y'all know what I'm talking about? So that's a principle. But the preference is whether or not you eat certain things, whether or not certain things are, whether or not you go to bed at a certain time. That's not a principle. It is so important for you to differentiate between the principle and the preference. My mom told a story, and you guys, please, if you have questions, ask them. Okay, this is not a sermon. Hey, Lynn, if you have questions, ask them. My mom used to tell the story about how, when she used to cook like a roast or something, she always cut the ends off. Always cut the ends off of it. And it was like, well, why? Well, it tastes better. It's the way you do it. It tastes better. Well, going on back, talking to her mom, the generation. At some point, you realize, wait a minute, they ain't got nothing to do with the taste. The first person did that because they didn't have a pot big enough. So they cut off both ends to fit in the pot. The next generation, there must be something to that. We cut off both ends. That's not a principle. That's something that's learned that's really just a preference. But it's not connected to any kind of moral value. I need you to understand that. Because as we're talking about differences and things that we deal with in our families and in relating to one another, you gotta know the difference. So I want you to ask yourself the question. The next time somebody gets on your nerves about something that they're not doing, or something that seems odd, or something weird, or something that you wish that they would stop, ask yourself the question, is this a principle or is it a preference? If it's a principle, then you have no room to argue with that. It's how they live their life. If it's a preference, then the mature thing is to learn how to compromise. You compromise preferences. You accept principles. I'll say that again. You compromise preferences, but you have to accept principles. Okay, some of the biggest arguments that we've seen in dealing with couples is in this area as to whether or not this is a preference or a principle. Now, that being said, it ain't a principle for you to screw around. No, it's not. I don't care if that's how you were raised. That ain't a principle. That's a preference. It ain't a principle for you to cuss people out. No, it's not. Well, that's how I was raised. It's a principle. That's how it. No. That is a preference. Okay? There is not any value that's connected to that thing. All right? Now, someone said here, Wendy, some families use negative criticism to encourage. Yes. Again, this is a learned behavior. This is not a principle. This is learned behavior, using negative criticism to encourage. Like, for instance, oh, is that what you're wearing? Oh, you gonna eat that? Is that how you're fixing your hair? You went to the hairdresser? Those things. Using that. The whole goal here is to get the person to comply, to do what you consider is better. But the way you approach it, No. Let's talk about some of these things. From the kitchen to the kids. Principles, culture. The kitchen. Food is identity. Okay? How you cook, eat, and gather is tied to belonging. Fights about food are rarely about food. I had to learn one thing important when I married my Trinidadian wife, is that there are certain foods that she prefers. Trini food. Bust up shut. Help me out, baby. Roti. I can't say it like they say it. Pilau. That's exactly how she said it. Pilau. Roti. Bust up shut. All that stuff, okay? Now that's food, but that's a part of her identity. Now, one thing that I had to do in marriage was start to inculcate that into my life as well. Okay? Do I like all of it? No, I do not like Dasheen Bush. Don't like it.
No, baby, you don't like Callaloo.
I don't like Callaloo either. Okay? But I don't like it. But if she likes it, I have to incorporate it. Now, the flip side, I grew up on sweet potatoes. I grew up on mashed potatoes. I grew up on fried chicken. I grew up on collard greens. She never had a baked sweet potato until we got married. I'm like, what world have you been living in? You ain't never had a baked sweet potato. But no, she hasn't. Capri says she loves Callaloo with like 4, 5 O's at the end of it. Okay, but no, understand that food is a part of your culture. You have to learn to compromise on it, but again, it's not principle. It's preference. Now, holidays, families, traditions, we talked about that for a moment ago. The negotiation couple, couples avoid until it blows up. Sometimes people negotiate and they try to avoid this, but look, when it comes to celebrations, things of that nature, what's important, you have to learn negotiation in that area, okay? And if you're in a marriage or in a relationship with someone that has those differentiations, you must learn compromise, okay? Now, here's an important one. Kids. When it comes to kids, especially how they're raised, this is where the stakes skyrocket, okay? What language do they speak? What religion do they have? Do they practice? Which family gets more access? These are all things that if you're not in a relationship, before you get in a relationship, you better discuss it. Because when it comes to culture, these things are incredibly important when it comes to how children are raised. Now, culturally, how were you brought up to raise kids? Wendy and I had some of our biggest fights, our biggest arguments in regards to how the kids, basically. And how we treat the kids, how we raise the kids, yada, yada, all that kind of crap. We had some big ones about that. Bottom line is, we had to come to an agreement. Our cultures are different. They're different. But we all have the same principle. We have different preferences. Our principle is that kids should be disciplined. Kids should be taken care of. They should be loved. But how to go about those things, we had some differences. Okay? They should be protected. Family should be number one. We all have the same principle. But how we implemented that principle, that's where the conflict came. Thank God we've learned to deal with it. Okay, next. Children, I need you to understand, in regards to kids, children need roots and wings Roots give identity and wings give freedom to build their own. Okay? So irrespective of whether you have disagreements on that, remember, roots and wings. Roots help build identity, but wings give them the freedom to do their own thing. Jeffrey asked this: would a woman that is raised to being in control, the dominant one, the alpha, is that preference or principle? Great question. A woman who was raised to be in control. She was raised to be the dominant one. Is that a preference or is that a principle? Now, I'm going to be honest with you here. Okay, I'm going to be straight with you. The fact that she was raised to be the dominant one, that is something that's in her. If she was raised that way, that's in her. Now remember, is that attached to a value? Or is it simply something she became accustomed to because how she was raised? If it's attached to a value, when I talk about a value, a moral value, does she believe that that's a thing that's attached to her higher power, her belief? Is there something that's attached to that? 9 times out of 10, no. She was just raised by people who may not have had it right. Now, she's raised to be dominant because quite often we raise children in accustomed to how we know, to what we know. But to be very honest, yes, you're absolutely right. It's a preference. It's not a principle. So, you know that because of the social norms, because of the way people are in this country, we understand, and if you're, especially if you're a religious or spiritual person, you understand that there's a hierarchy in the home. The man is the head, the wife is the neck. Head cannot survive without it. But and people sometimes get offended by when I say this, but the fact of the matter is that in every organization, in every company, in every group, somebody has to have the last word. Somebody has to be the buck, where the buck stops. Someone's got to do that. Now, in our family, it's me. As the man, I'm the head of the house. I say that in front of my wife, I say it behind her back because it's not a secret. It's just the way it is. I'm the head of the house. Now, as head of the house, do I make arbitrary, stupid decisions that don't involve her? I try not to. Sometimes I have, but I try not to. Because I realize how important her input is and how intelligent she is and how wise she is on a lot of things that I can't see. She's my 180. And if you remember that, that means that half of what I can't see behind me, she sees. All right? So if you've been raised in that dominant way and you feel like that's the way you've been raised, understand that's not a principle. It's a preference. The question is, what do you do with it? You have to relearn. You have to rewire. You have to yield. You have to let your man lead. I'm just going to tell you, because women, you guys have 2 X chromosomes. We have an X and a Y. And the Y is what gives us our aggressiveness and all that other crap. It's real hard to submit and not buy into that. Because it's how we're made. We just have that in us. Okay? Kids should do as I say, not as I do. My mama said that frequently. I know. Bad advice. I love you, Mama Wendy, but that's bad advice. Okay? Do as I say, not as I do. Who does that? Okay? But a lot of our parents said that. That's how a lot of us were raised. Talamisha says it's preference. I'm alpha because my mom was, but I done learned. Absolutely. You have done learned. Yes, Wendy was alpha, and she still has alpha qualities. She was raised that way. She was raised that way to take care of everything. I'm this, I'm that. Look, it is unfortunate in our society that's how it happens, but it does. The fortunate thing or the blessing with us is that I was raised by a mom and a very docile man. My father was not very alpha at all. At all. But from negative experiences, you either learn what you don't want to be or you learn to emulate that. I learned what I didn't want to be. And through other role models and etc., I learned what dominant looked like. It looks like partnership with responsibility, with ultimate responsibility. And so when she met me with her alpha butt, and then me understanding the balance, I'm like, I know you're alpha, I know you're powerful, I get it, but not here. We ain't gonna do it. That's just not me. I'm not that guy. So we've learned to balance, and it's good. Okay, great. All right. So when it comes down, okay, don't we have to create our own family culture? Absolutely, yeah. Baby, stop reading my notes. So ultimately, when it comes to culture in family and culture in relationships, we both come to a relationship with a suitcase. Then in that suitcase is how we were brought, how we were raised, etc., etc. But ultimately, when you form a union, you must raise and create your own family culture. Okay? It's important for you to create your own culture. So I don't care how you were raised. And here's the beauty of this. We're not all going to be a monolith. We're not all going to look alike. We're all going to have different cultures. We're all going to have different family dynamics. But you must learn to create your own. And it comes with massive communication, massive openness and vulnerability, expressing how you feel about certain things. But you got to create your own culture. How my mama did it, how my daddy did it, does not work. It just doesn't. My mama and daddy, your mom and daddy were not your husband or wife. They were your mama and daddy. They were not your parents. I mean, they were not your spouses, rather. They were your parents. They were not your spouse. And quite often people get confused here. Well, that's how my mama did it with my husband. No, your mama did that with your husband. But this man is not your daddy. This is your husband, different from your father. Create your own culture. Do not emulate your parents' culture. They were parents. They were not your spouse. They were your parents. They were raising you as a child. Now you are a grown, bleak adult. What do you have to do now? Create your own silo. I had this conversation with my son recently. And we had a long conversation about something that was going on. And he was talking about, protecting his family. And it was a really great conversation. And he was talking about how he, having to adjust, because of how he was raised. And now with his new family and incredibly gorgeous grandson, which is my first and only. And the dude is just beautiful and perfect. But anyway, but because of that, how he has to now create his own culture. And I told him, I said, listen, as your father, I raised you in a certain culture. This was your immediate family. This was your nuclear family. But now you've gone out and you've created your own nuclear family. You have respect and distance from me. Do that. Do what's best for your family. Create your own traditions. Create your own cultures. What we did was great, but that was for you growing up. Now, if you want to perpetuate some of that, that's awesome. But you must now do your own thing. This is how you learn to deal with culture. Because his wife is an awesome woman, right? But she came with her own culture. He came with his own culture. Now they have to create their own together. Okay? Well, our time is up. I hope you guys got that. I hope you got it. It was a little different, a little difficult. But please, as Wendy said here, please invite other folk to join this conversation. Give us some of your burning questions that you need answered, okay? Capri, yes, we're over. Great, Talamisha. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Please, I'm telling you guys, have people to download the app. We need more users. Let's get more users so we can still make this thing work, okay? Thank you so much. Appreciate y'all. So glad, MAFP user. Don't know your name. Please fill out your profile so we can call you about something. And but I'm glad you're still learning. Great sunshine. And for all you guys who've been listening and didn't say a word, thank you for joining us, okay? Again, please post. Please get ready for the what is the thing? The podcast coming up. Post and tell people about it, okay? Love you guys. Can't wait to talk to you next week. Take care. We'll talk.